Hey everyone, and thanks for jumping back into the cryptoverse. Today we're going to be looking at Bitcoin and also the dominance of Bitcoin with respect to the total cryptocurrency market cap. So if you guys like the content, please subscribe to the channel, check out the Telegram channel in the description below, and also check out my website if you want to subscribe to the premium list into thecryptoverse.com. So let's go ahead and jump in. We're in our second week now of continuing to essentially move up above the 20 week. So this was the first candle that closed above the 20 week. And we've said in the past that if Bitcoin closes above the 20 week, then it usually means that it's a good sign for Bitcoin in the short term. And clearly, so far, that has been the case. Bitcoin has continued to rise. Now, I want to clear up a common misconception that seems to be, ruminating in the crypto sphere, or the cryptoverse, I should say. And that's essentially that we have to go back down after the halving, because during the last cycle, we saw this drop back to the 20-week moving average. Now, clearly, this is a possibility. There's no doubt that at some point we will drop back to the 20-week moving average because we won't stay above it forever. Ultimately, we will come back down and test it as support. And that's going to be a critical time. Whether that happens at, say, $15,000 or whether it happens at the current price of around $8,000, it's going to be a critical time that we're going to have to go through to test if we're really into bullish waters, or if again we're kicking the can down the road. The idea, the premise, or the thesis that we have to go back down directly after the halving is not necessarily true. We know it doesn't have to happen. There's been people yelling out their shorts all the way up, and they've been doing it basically every step of the way. But at the same time, it doesn't really seem that Bitcoin cares too much about what these people think, and it has continued to go up week after week, and it could continue to go up in the short term. We don't know yet. But one of the things I wanted to talk about in this video is the Bitcoin dominance, and I think this is somewhat illustrative of where we are. If you go back and look in the last market cycle, so the last market cycle when Bitcoin got above the 20 week, before it held it as support, it got above the 20 week the week of October 12th. So if you go to October 12th of 2015, it's right here. And you can see that over the course of the next several weeks, the Bitcoin dominance continued to go up. And ultimately it peaked out at around a 4 to 5% increase from where it had started from when Bitcoin crossed the 20-week moving average. That the weekly candle cross. So it went up about another 5%, and it lasted for around 3 months or so before the dominance really started to fall. Now, the dominance started to fall in January of 2016. And we've talked about this before. What was happening in January 2016? Well, in the first quarter of 2016, this was when Bitcoin came down to the 20-week moving average. It first came down to the 100-week moving average and then straight down to the 20, and that's where it was holding support and continued to hold support for the bull run. So it came down to the 100-week, transitioned to the 20-week. If you go to that time period, you can see starting here, we're in mid-January, and then coming down, it's taking us through the first quarter of the year of 2016. And during this quarter was, again, when Bitcoin was holding the 20-week moving average as support. So that's when Bitcoin dominance started to go down, because it was saying, okay, Bitcoin saw this nice move up, and it did not immediately retrace back down to the 200-week moving average. It held as support. And this is what gave confidence back to the altcoin market. Without this confirmation, at some point, there's still going to be some hesitancy in the air for a lot of different coins. Now, another thing I should say, when we say that altcoins perform better when Bitcoin's above the 20-week, it's true. Generally speaking, altcoins perform better than when Bitcoin's below the 20-week. But that doesn't mean they necessarily perform better than Bitcoin. And Bitcoin will certainly outperform many coins, thousands of coins in the next market cycle. There's tons of coins that will never see they'll never return to the glory days that they had at their previous all-time high. It just won't ever happen. And you can go back to the 2013 market cycle, the peak there, and then compare to 2017 and notice that there were a lot of coins that peaked in 2013 that saw a lower high in 2017. So they were moving down, and some of them just completely died. So don't believe that every altcoin has to go up. Now you still are taking a gamble on any asset, even Bitcoin, but I think Bitcoin obviously is the safest, but may not necessarily have the highest potential ROI. So again, it was when Bitcoin, we've talked about this for a long time, when Bitcoin holds the 20-week moving average as support, will likely, this will be a key time in the cryptocurrency market. Now again, now that Bitcoin's above the 20-week, we've said, okay, it's above the 20-week, altcoins probably are going to perform better than if Bitcoin was not above the 20-week, and I think that's true. I mean, most coins are either staying pretty much humdrum, they're not going anywhere, or they're going up. And in fact, today a lot of coins went up by 15 to 20%, which is a lot better than when Bitcoin's below the 20-week, because when Bitcoin is below the 20-week moving average, this is when a lot of altcoins just continue to bleed, not only in fiat, but also in their Bitcoin valuation. So this is something to look out for. Now, I'm sure many of you are wondering, okay, well, what does this move look like now? Well, if you go to the present day, we crossed the 20-week moving average and had a candle close above it on April 27th. So that's more or less, if we zoom in, this candle here. So if we were to take a measured move from the bottom of that candle up to the say the top of the next one, we're basically looking at around a 5%, 6% move up, and that's pretty similar to what we saw last time. Because if you look back at again what happened last time, it was, I think, more or less around 5%. So you can see it here from October 12th that week. If we take it from the bottom of that candle that week, it was around 6%. But if we take it from the top, because that's the candle that closed it, it's around 4.33. And then scrolling back over, which is a lot of history here. So I guess we should take this from the top to be consistent. This was the week that closed the candle above it. So far we're up around 3 or 4%, which is pretty similar. So whether you take it from the candle the bottom of the candle that closed above the 20-week, either in this cycle or the last cycle, or take it from the next candle, so far we're pretty similar in terms of the percent gain that Bitcoin saw in its dominance. Now, you can see that if you look over this macro level picture, not that these lines necessarily mean anything. I mean, at the end of the day, they're just imaginary lines. But if you take a look at what happened, it was, again, the holding of the 20-week that saw this start to go down. And then the second time it started to go down was when Bitcoin reached its previous all-time high. But this is what triggered a significant move in the altcoin market. So the first move was primarily led by Ethereum. So a lot of coins in early 2016, when Bitcoin got above the 20-week, a lot of them didn't really go anywhere. Some of them were trending upwards, but they didn't see a return that Ethereum saw. Most didn't come anywhere close to it. So the dominance you see with Bitcoin going down, a significant portion was because the dominance of Ethereum was going up. And again, this time, when Bitcoin got to its previous all-time high, this is when altcoin season really returned to the market. This was when you saw coins just going up 10, 50x in a matter of weeks. And again, it happened here at the end of after the end of the bull run that Bitcoin had. So you can see 3 key times. Bitcoin holds the 20-week moving average as support. When Bitcoin got above the 20-week, the dominance tended to go up for a few more weeks, or even a few months. And then we said 3 months later, this is when the Bitcoin dominance started falling, when Bitcoin held the 20-week. The second time was when Bitcoin got above its previous all-time high, so now we're looking at getting above $20,000 or in that ballpark, and hoping a similar move here. And then the third time was at the end of the run. Now, if you extrapolate a similar type trend, maybe we come up to the top here and at some point, I would imagine it's starting to come down some. But we might come back down to this trend line if we were to repeat history, and then bounce off of it to some degree. And then at some point later on, when Bitcoin gets, say, to the previous, oh, sorry, the brush disappeared. When Bitcoin gets, say, to the previous all-time high of, say, $20,000, and let's suppose that that happens in, late 2021, this is when we could see a more drastic move from the rest of the market. And of course, this is just going to be a single move. I expect that after that move, Bitcoin dominance will probably come back up some as Bitcoin makes its run to six figures, and then ultimately it'll, at the end of that bull run, then I think altcoins will likely start moving again. So a lot of people throw money into altcoins at any given time, whether we're in the pits of the bear market or whenever, but really you are losing out to some degree on the time value of money by just throwing it at a lot of different coins and hoping to strike gold, when at least history tells us that there are key points in time where these moves tend to take place, and getting to the previous all-time high is one of them, getting to the end of the bull run is one of them, and then holding the 20-week moving average as support is one of them. And again, this is, I think the coins that move here are going to be more selective than what we might see if Bitcoin gets to the previous all-time high. With that said, I don't think that the move that we might see coming in the future, I don't think it's going to be as insane as the moves we've seen in the past. A lot of coins obviously will not go anywhere. So you have to consider that just because you bought at the all-time high does not mean someone is going to eventually buy your bags from you at the all-time high. If you're holding, say, 20 different altcoins, there's a really good chance that many of them will never return to their previous all-time high. So this is basically what I wanted to cover in the video, just looking at Bitcoin dominance and trying to compare it to where we are on the price of Bitcoin chart, because again, we're going into the halving. The halving is coming up in just a few days, and a lot of people are expecting a dump. I would say be prepared for it, but don't necessarily expect that it has to happen, because just because it happened, say, the last market cycle does not mean it has to happen this time. For all we know, it could keep moving up and then ultimately retrace months down the road. So just, I would say ultimately you really shouldn't set yourself too many price targets. And I do have various metrics like the risk metric to identify phases when you can take profits and when you can dynamically dollar cost average your way into the market. If you are interested in that, you can always just go to my website, intothecryptoverse.com, and check out the premium newsletter, or go to patreon.com/intothecryptoverse and sign up for the $50 tier. But anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed the content. Basically just a simple video looking at Bitcoin price and Bitcoin dominance. Hopefully that gives you an idea of what might be coming in the terms of Bitcoin dominance is rising. It rose last time when we got above the 20-week, and it was holding the 20-week as support. And we've said that many times in many videos. It's holding it as support that ultimately brings a lot more confidence back to the market. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I'll talk to you next time. Bye.